much. So we have today a little bit of time to kind of discuss some of the ancient teachings and how they relate to our lives. I just want to begin. Today we're talking about a beautiful life, and life is meant to be beautiful. And when we look at our lives, I'm sure many of us look at our lives and feel there are many beautiful things in our lives. But what the ancient teachers explain is that beauty has no limits. And if we take some time, some energy, and some spiritual intelligence, then we can bring more and more beauty into our lives. So I'll share that with you, what some of those things may be, but I just want you to begin by turning to the person next to you and just sharing one beautiful thing in your life that you really feel grateful for. Can you do that just for 1 minute? One beautiful thing that you feel grateful for in your life. Thank you so much. The reason we do this exercise, thank you so much. The reason we do this exercise is because it said that gratitude is the mother of all qualities. In other words, when we develop gratitude in our life, then all other good qualities come about automatically. You can be compassionate when you're grateful. You can be tolerant when you're grateful. You can be completely honest when you're grateful. You can be happy when you're grateful. And therefore, one of the most basic equations that we have to correct in our life is that we undervalue what we have and we overvalue what we don't have. And if we could change that one thing every single day, take time to reorientate that vision, our life would start looking very different. So someone want to shout out what they feel a beautiful thing in their life? Anyone?
Friends.
Friends, yes. The people in our life who make it that much more bright, vibrant, and adventurous and beautiful. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yeah.
I met devotees in this life. I'm so grateful.
Okay, that you have an opportunity to tread the spiritual path, that you have access to this knowledge, this spiritual practice, which opens up a whole new world of possibility. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Dancing.
Yes. Dancing?
Yeah,
Yes, wonderful. I used to go to like religious places like temples from when I was young, and my concept of a religious place was it was a place where you're serious, you're silent, and you're still. That's what you do in religious places. And then I came to the Hare Krishna temple. No one was silent. These guys were like singing off the top of their voice. Nobody was serious. They seemed to be smiling, laughing, joking, and they definitely weren't still. They seemed to spend more time in the air than on the ground. They were always dancing. And so I said to one of the devotees at the temple, I said, "It's like dancing? A religious place? That's what I do at night time in another establishment, not here." And he said, no, the most natural expressions of joy are to smile, to sing, and to dance. And therefore, if you ever find a spiritual process where there's no smiling, there's no singing, and there's no dancing, dare I say it, don't trust it. Nietzsche, he said, I will only believe in a God who knows how to dance. So yes, thank you so much. And you've got good dance moves as well. Anyone else? What else do you feel grateful for? What other beauty is there in your life? Yeah.
I'm quite grateful, Maharaj, for having such a wonderful family who taught me always, to approach the Lord with love, with service. Such a beautiful family.
Yes, it's amazing. Sometimes we appreciate so many people in the world, but sometimes we don't even appreciate the people who we're living with. Those guys, those are the ones I just tolerate. Maybe they're tolerating you as well. We don't, it's amazing how sometimes the people who are closest to us in our lives, we kind of just take them for granted. But it's actually such a beautiful thing. And when you have a family, it's amazing. You're actually walking through life together. Such a special thing. Your partner, your children, these are the people that you make a vow. We're going to walk through this world together and find beauty together. And that creates such a bond of love and affection. So yes, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Talking about family, my greatest gift was my divorce.
Oh, okay. Counterintuitive.
Luckily, I was not the only one. My speaking partner also. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting that sometimes it's like that. Like sometimes two people have their good qualities, but together it ain't so good. So sometimes it's better we part ways, give each other some breathing space, and keep a safe distance. So yeah, no, sometimes that's also necessary to give people space, and yeah. Oftentimes we hold on to toxic relationships that don't serve us, that don't serve the other person. So we also have to learn the science of letting go. It's also a great science. One more. Yeah.
Experiences which we get in life at different stages, they're so beautiful.
That's amazing. The experiences that you have in life, the experiences that you go through, they say, are the most persistent, profound, and powerful teachers you have. Because according to Eastern theology, you can become wise just by reflecting on your own experiences, because according to Eastern theology, nothing happens by chance. Everything is karma. There's a new restaurant in town, it's called Karma. There's no menu, you get what you deserve. But it's like that actually, every single thing, when we look back at our life and we reflect, we realize, if we have a spiritual lens, that everything happened for a reason. And therefore we become grateful for every experience. Is the glass half full or half empty? We tell people the glass is full, half with water, half with air. Because everything has meaning. Even the most difficult circumstances that you go through. Here we are sitting all in this room, and I'm sure there's a few things you'd like to straighten out in your life. But perhaps even those things are teaching us something beautiful. Thank you, Abhishek. And since your good wife also put her hand up, but you didn't let ladies go first, we should also ask Mansi. Yes, tell us.
I'm very grateful that I don't have to struggle for some basic things in life. I really think about that a lot, like a job or home, family.
It's amazing, yeah. The
I'm
small
in a nice
things in
place,
life.
yeah.
Yeah. Once there was a child, and there was a teacher, and she was teaching a classroom of children, and she asked them, what are the 7 wonders of the world? Someone put their hand up and said, the pyramids of Giza, Great Wall of China, Eiffel Tower, Niagara Falls. I don't know if these are true or not, but. And then she pointed to one child, and this child said, the 7 wonders of the world are that I can see, I can touch, I can smell, I can hear, I can taste, I can love, and I can laugh. Imagine just that, to be grateful for the small things in life. According to Eastern culture, the first thing that we do in spiritual Sanskrit culture is when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we do is we bow down. And we bow down and we touch the earth and we make a prayer of gratitude that thank you for allowing me to be alive today. It's amazing, the small things in life we sometimes miss. So it's nice to disconnect like this and just get perspective. And today we're talking about what it means to create a more beautiful life. Let me just take the thing out and put it back in. Life is sometimes like that. When a device isn't working, all you have to do is take it, disconnect it, and put it back in. And usually it works. Oh no, it didn't work. It should work.
You just took it out.
Oh. Have you put it back in? No, take this bit out.
Flashing out.
Yeah, take it out and put it back in. There you go. See? I told you.
Haribol.
So actually, that's what you need to do regularly in your life. Just disconnect. And then when you come back to life, it will all work again. When I was in India, one yogi, he gave me a piece of advice for my life. I asked him, how can I be more spiritual? And you know what he told me? This was like 27 years ago, 25 years ago. He said to me, every year, disconnect for 1 month. Every month, disconnect for 1 day. And every day, disconnect for 1 hour. And he said, if you take time to disconnect and be away from the world, be away from your device, be away from the normal surroundings, then what happens is you begin to see life very, very differently. So disconnect. Alright everyone, I'm going to show you something on the screen. And it's very, very simple. There will be 3 people in white t-shirts. And all I want you to do is count the number of times the 3 people in white t-shirts pass the ball between them. It's okay? Put your hand up if you've done this before. Okay. Good. Alright, so you got it? There's going to be people in white t-shirts. I just want you to count how many times you see them pass the ball. Just tell me yes if you get it.
Yes.
Alright. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you have to count, okay?
Restart.
No, you can't restart. You should have been paying attention. Alright, simple enough. If you saw them pass the ball 14 times and 14 times only, say 14. He's just very convinced. 14, okay. If you saw them count the ball 15 times and 15 times only, say 15. Everyone's like super nervous. Say 15. Okay. If you saw them count the ball 16 times, say 16. 17. 18. 18. 19. Okay, thankfully no one's on drugs here. The correct answer is 16. That means some of you don't know how to count. Now, I don't want you to tell me, but I just want you to put your hand up if you saw something a little strange in the picture. Put your hands up if you never saw anything out of the ordinary. What about if I told you a gorilla went across the screen?
Yes. Exactly.
Did you see it?
Yes.
You saw it?
Yes.
Actually, most people miss the gorilla. But when you rewind it, you'll actually see that a gorilla went right across the screen. But did you see all these other changes? Did you see the color changing? Did you see someone leaving the room? Didn't see that, right? You did see that? Did you get 16? No. Here you go, friends. There is the gorilla. Now, how many of you saw the gorilla go through the room? You saw the gorilla go through this room, right? This room.
No.
Did you see? Put your hand up if you saw the gorilla go through this room. You didn't see the gorilla go through? No, I'm joking. This is very interesting. This is an attention test. And what it shows us is that sometimes we get so busy in life that we actually end up missing very, very important things. Things that could be crucial to our life. If you're in a room and you forget to spot the gorilla, it may not be good for your health. So, I don't know if you have ever, does anyone know who this is? Are you not music enthusiasts here? Amsterdam. This is a world famous violinist. His name is Joshua Bell. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. But he's actually a world famous violinist. You see here, his violin, once it got auctioned for $3.5 million. His violin. And this is Joshua Bell playing in an auditorium in Boston. And when he plays, it's a sellout crowd. On this particular night, 1,000 people attended. And you know how much they paid to watch him play the violin for the evening? $200 each. So what's $200 times 1,000? $200,000. He did pretty well that evening. Just another day at work. The very next day, this same Joshua Bell went to the Boston Underground, the tube. And there, without any fanfare around him, he did the exact same thing he was doing the previous night. Remember, 1,000 people had paid $200 to see him. That same Joshua Bell went into the train station and he started busking. Do you have busking in Amsterdam also? Right? In 2 hours, remember in 2 hours on the previous night, he made $200,000. In 2 hours on the Boston Railway, on the Boston Underground, the train, you know how much he collected in donations in 2 hours?
$20.
$3.70. And only about 7 people stopped to listen to him. It's amazing how when we're busy, when we're rushing, when life is full of so many different things, we don't actually perceive beauty, or we don't perceive what's really valuable. And so today, we're going to talk about this. What's the difference between existing and living? Benjamin Franklin once said, many people die at 25, but they aren't buried till they're 75. Amazing. Because sometimes what happens is that in a certain point of our life, we actually die. And instead of living, what happens is we actually are not really living, but we're existing. If I was to ask you, what's the difference between living and existing? Can you give me any ideas?
No goal.
Pardon me?
No goal.
No goal. Someone who's existing is kind of just going through the motions, but they have no goal, they have no aspiration, they have no dream. If someone stopped us on the street and said, what's your dream? What do you want to achieve in your life? I don't know. It means we may not be living. A person who's living has a direction, they have a why, they have a mission, they wake up in the morning with purpose. Thank you.
No emotions.
Existing is no motivation, maybe it's what?
Yeah, when someone is living, they have hunger, they have enthusiasm, they have motivation. But when we don't have that, when we're lacking that, we may be breathing, we may be moving, but we're not really living. When oversleeping becomes more exciting than waking up, it may mean our life is not exciting enough. And therefore, motivation really helps us to understand, am I living or existing? Thank you. Someone else?
Just undergoing instead of steering.
How much of our life is just dictated by the world around us, dictated by trends, traditions, other people, dictated by other people's ideas for what we should be doing? And how much have we made a conscious direction? It's so hard, isn't it? Because around you, people have so many expectations for your life. And you end up living the life that they want you to live, but maybe it's not the life that you wanted to live. Yes?
No emotions.
No emotions. We're kind of living in the world, but we're not experiencing the more subtle aspects of life, the exchange, the love, the sense of closeness, intimacy, or emotion that moves our heart. Thank you. Yes?
I think existing is more a disconnection between your body and your soul, and living is within connection.
Okay, yeah. We have a soul. We are the soul, according to ancient teachers, and we have desires, we have aspirations, and sometimes we're not living in alignment with, our body is not living in alignment with that. And so we're doing things, but it's not really resonating. Now in America, it's the time of graduation. So once Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, he was asked to speak at the graduation ceremony of Stanford students. And if you get a chance, I recommend you listen to his speech to them. But he says many profound things in his speech, and at one point he says, every day when I wake up, I ask myself, if today was the last day I had in this world, would I be doing what I'm doing today? And he said, when the answer is no, for too many days in a row, then I know I need to change something. And so sometimes our body is moving, but it's not in alignment with our deeper aspirations. Thank you so much. Yes. Anyone else? One last one? Yes.
Many times we forget to listen to our inner voice.
Yeah.
Just going with the flow, but hearts want something else.
Yeah, we forget to hear ourselves. See, life is so noisy. It's not just the Hare Krishnas who are noisy. Life is so noisy, surrounded by opinions, surrounded by expectations, surrounded by trends and traditions. And that's why I shared with you, it's so important to disconnect from all of that noise. When I was 21, I graduated from university, and I knew I needed to disconnect. Because I knew that if I didn't, I'd end up living an extremely inauthentic life. And so what I did is I went to India for 6 months, and that was my disconnection. Now I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but in our own ways, we constantly need to look away. We said that artists, when they are painting a painting, then what they often do periodically is they step away from the whole canvas and they look at it as a whole. And then what they do is they go back in and start painting. And our life is like that. Sometimes you need to step away and ask yourself, thank you. Yeah, these are some of the things many of you said. You can have a look. And what we often do as monks to try to ensure we're continuing to live a conscious life is we will go through a list like this, and we will go through every column, and we will ask ourselves, how would I score? Am I existing or living on this point? Am I existing or living on this point? And we constantly, because it's not that one day you're living and you make a decision and for the rest of your life you're living. We can always move depending on how conscious we are. And so the whole idea of spirituality is to live a conscious life. A life that means you look back with no regrets. Put your hand up if you feel like you have some regrets in your life. Yeah, we have regrets. Mark Twain, he says, 20 years from now, you will regret more the things that you didn't do than the things that you did do. I thought that was an interesting insight, that oftentimes we think risk is in doing something. But sometimes he says there's a greater risk in not doing something, because generally those are the things that we regret more. Beginning today, just for you to have some reflection on these points, and all of us have to continually ask ourselves this question. Friends, we live in different worlds. There's the world around us. That's one world that we live in. But then there's the world that we choose. We're living in this big world, but you choose a city to stay in. You choose a certain group of people to be surrounded by. You choose a certain philosophy to live by. Therefore, the second world we live in is the world that we choose. The third world is the world inside of you. That's the world that nobody sees. In the world today, they say, smiling faces, crying hearts. Because the world inside nobody sees. But that's the world that we're living with. And then, there's the part of the world that you want to change. That's another world. And finally, the fifth world is the world that you're destined for. Because at every moment, we're making decisions, we're taking directions, we're cultivating desires, and all of those are creating our destiny. Which would you say is the most important world to focus on? The third?
Oh,
4? 5? 2, 3, and 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? All of them are important. But according to spiritual teachers, one of those worlds is the one that you have the most control over. And therefore, that's the world you should focus on the most. Now let me ask you, which world do you have the most control over?
2.
Oh my goodness, that didn't clarify the matter at
4.
Number one, you don't have much control over. I don't know how much control you guys have over US politics. We don't, right? Number 3, do you have much control over that? How
Yes.
many of you, when you feel anger, can you just say, no, I won't be angry? How many of you, when you wake up in the world and you don't feel so enthused about life, can immediately say, no, I choose to be okay? The world, number 4, do you have much control over that? How many of you have tried to change your partner? Very successful. They say in an argument between a husband and wife, the husband always gets the final word. Yes, dear. And the world you're destined for? Yeah, you do have some power. Actually, according to the ancient teachers, the most important world to focus on is number 2, the world that you choose. Because according to the world that you choose, that will create the world inside of you. And you know what? According to the world inside of you, you'll be able to go out in the world and make an incredible impact. And according to the impact and the contribution and the beauty that you share with the world, that will create a beautiful future and the world that you're destined for. And so the ancient teachers explained to us that the best world or the most important world to focus on is the world that you choose. And today, what I want to share with you are 5 things that make up a beautiful world. This world we have control over. No one can say, I don't have control over this world, I'm in a bad situation, I got the short end of the stick, we can't play victim. According to the spiritual teachers, these 5 things, each one of us have control over. Each one of us have control over what type of character we want to cultivate, what kind of company we want to keep, what kind of contribution we want to make, what kind of culture we want to live by, and what kind of connection we want to create with that which is beyond this world. People who focus on these things live beautiful, happy, impactful lives. But the amazing thing is, life keeps us so busy that we miss the important things, and we go through life and achieve many things, but maybe we don't invest enough in these things. And so today I'll just share with you a little bit about each one of these things, one by one. Is that okay? I'll speak for about 20 or 30 minutes. I'm not going to give you a long lecture. I don't like killing people by my speech. But it's important, if I give you a few seeds of thought, then I really want to hear from all of you, and you can ask your questions and things like that. So let's go one by one. Beautiful character. For 30 seconds, I just want you to close your eyes and think of someone in your life that you appreciate deeply. And if in one word you were to have to describe why you appreciate that person so much, what would that word be? Just think about that in your mind for now. Picture this person in your mind, the one you really look up to, not just because they're 7 foot tall, but who you look up to because of who they are as a person. And if you were to describe in one word, what is it about them that captures your imagination? What is it about their life that inspires you in one word? What would that word be? All right. Can some people shout out the words? Surrender. Someone who's willing to just accept with grace whatever comes in life, with no bitterness, with no regret. Beautiful. Thank you.
Faith.
Discipline. The pain of discipline is uncomfortable, but the pain of regret is unbearable. People who live disciplined lives achieve amazing things. I tell people, it's hard to exercise, but it's even harder to be ill. It's hard to study for your exams, but it's even harder to fail. Life is hard, but you can accept the right hard. And the people who accept the right hard are disciplined. Thank you. Anyone else?
Faith.
Faith. Faith is such a beautiful thing because faith allows you to explore that beyond what you know. One English writer says, faith doesn't make sense, and that's exactly why it generates dreams. As soon as you have faith, you begin to explore that beyond what you already know. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Playful.
Pardon me?
Playful.
Playful. It's amazing you say that. That's an incredibly deep theological point. In Sanskrit, there's a word called lila. And lila basically means divine play. And what the ancient theologians explain is that in the ultimate sense, all life is play, and play is life. In other words, in the transcendent world of spiritual perfection, there's no work to do. All life is play. Sound good? Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Loved. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to experience love. And we experience someone's love that touches our heart. I say the biggest influencer in the world is the influencer who touches people's hearts. It's not about scale. It's not about numbers. But in your life, if through your loving heart you can touch people's hearts, that's amazing. And when people touch our hearts, we know what that feels like. So become an influencer. Follow me on Instagram. Yes.
Patience.
So, patience. Patience is a virtue. Patience is such an underrated quality. Because the world we're living in today, we think everything happens by activity. And therefore we're endlessly passionate, which is good. But sometimes you just have to wait. And let the magic happen. And so it's such an underrated quality in a world that's moving at 100 kilometers an hour, to just be ready to wait. Thank you so much. These are beautiful. We could do this all afternoon. Alright, never mind. Just take one or two more.
Selfless.
Selfless. Isn't it amazing when someone does something for you and they have no agenda? Isn't that amazing? That's such a beautiful thing. Our ancient teachers, they say the love of a mother for the child is the most selfless type of love in the material world. Because the level of selflessness of a mother is phenomenal. It's amazing. Even nowadays, I sometimes go home to see my mom. And you know what happens when I ring the doorbell and I go into my house? You know the very first thing she says to me? Where's your laundry? It's like my mom's like, she just wants to do my laundry. So sometimes when I go home and I don't have any laundry, I just have to take clean clothes and give it to her. Because she just wants to sell them. It's amazing. And so it's amazing, like, selfless people in our life. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, one more? Anyone?
Reliability.
Reliability. Is Azad reliable?
Yes.
That's her husband. Yeah, someone who shows up. It's such a beautiful way of showing love for someone, to just show up every day. That's amazing. Because in a world where people just can't keep to their word, when there's someone who just says what they, does what they do, does what they say, exactly. That's amazing. So, the reason I'm telling you, why am I going through all of this? Dear friends, when all is said and done, no one will remember you for what you did. They'll remember you for who you are. When we were monks, what we would often do, this isn't for the faint-hearted, we would do a guided meditation on our own funeral. Try this one out. And what we would do is we would visualize our own funeral, and then in our meditation we would meditate on who's that person who's going to come up to give the eulogy of your life. And then in our meditation we would write out the speech that we wanted someone to talk about, say, in glorification of our life. And then we would come out of the meditation and we would look at it and we would ask ourselves, what am I doing to become this person? So in a world where we're constantly judged on our external achievements, what often gets forgotten is the invisible world of our own character. But the most amazing thing is, that's what you will be remembered for. And that's what will touch people's hearts. And so the ancient teachers talk about how we can mold ourselves to become the best version. Because sometimes we look at ourselves and say, what can I do? I am just a proud person. I've been trying to change it for ages. It's not working. I just have to live with it. I'm proud, I'm intolerant, I'm angry. But according to the ancient teachers, you can change it. And it begins with remolding the mind. This is a great science. I need one volunteer. Anyone want to come up? Yes, okay. Give her a round of applause. What's your name? Iliana. Thank you so much, Iliana. 20 years from now, you'll regret doing this. Okay, Iliana, I just want you to look at the screen. And we are today going to do a scan of Iliana's mind. Do you want to sit down? Okay, so Iliana, I want to ask you, if you just stand to one side for now, just so everyone can see. Yeah, just stand next to Bhakti Retreat. Yeah, that's it. If on a scale from being in the mode of comparing, criticizing, competing with others to the other scale where you're appreciating and encouraging, where would you say generally your mind is at? I mean, it fluctuates, but generally where along this line? Can you say? You can point to it. Where along this line would you be? About there? Okay, wonderful. We can't write on this wall, right? Has anyone got a post-it now?
Erase it. You can write on it, but you can't erase it.
Oh, you can't erase it. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, anyway, you're roughly there. Okay, alright, sure. Iliana, in terms of your mind, how much would you say your mind gravitates towards short-term gratification? And how much, okay, yeah, put a sticker there. That's brilliant. Put a sticker on the top one, wherever you feel you are. Okay, brilliant, excellent. So in terms of your mind, would you say you're a person who looks at short-term or generally long-term? Oh, wow, okay. We'll have to check with some of your friends as well. We'll trust you for today. On a general scale, how much would you say your mind is distracted and many branched, and how much would you say you're attentive and focused? Generally. Of course it fluctuates, but generally, are you quite a focused person? Okay. Well done. How much would you say your mind is controlled by fear? And how much do you think you're inspired by your dreams? Are you generally quite a nervous person? Very cautious, like very worried, or kind of like, yeah, let's give it a go? Yes. You seem like a very brave person. And would you say your mind generally overthinks and procrastinates, or is quite analytical, it articulates and then it acts? Okay. And the last one. Would you say your mind is quite rigid and attached? Like once you have an idea in your mind, it's like, this has got to happen. And if anything changes, it's like the world is falling apart. Or are you like very flexible? Okay, they changed. No. I got fired, no worries. Let's move on to the next job. How much are you flexible and detached, and how much are you... Okay, wonderful. Give Iliana a round of applause. Iliana, this is your mind. And according to the ancient teachers, our mind can be in 3 modes. Either our mind is in order, our mind is on the border, or our mind is out of order. So I think you're on the border, moving towards becoming in order. Give her a round of applause. Dear friends, just have a look at this scan. Where are you? And remember, this is not a one-time thing. Just as your physical health is constantly changing, your mental health is also constantly changing. And if we don't invest time in the invisible internal aspects of our life, what will happen is our mind state will start going towards this way. And when our mind state goes towards this way, then what happens? Maybe we can just take Appreciate it. When we have a mind that is an enemy, I don't know if you can see these words, enviousness, greed, anger, lust. These are all qualities which arise from a mind which hasn't been purified and clarified and elevated. Where a mind is short-term, where a mind is comparing, where a mind is rigid, where a mind is all of those things that we talked about, all of these qualities will come about. But when we train our mind, when we invest in the invisible world, then what happens is the mind becomes a friend. And then what happens, instead of feeling envy, you feel appreciation for others. Instead of feeling greed, you feel satisfied with everything. You kind of look at your life and you're thinking, I have way more. I have way more than I deserve. Imagine we could live like that. Instead of being angry, you're just tolerant. Imagine if nobody could anger you. Probably make them pretty angry. Imagine if you got to a point where just nobody could anger you. You may set so much tolerance. It's okay. And imagine lust would turn to love. Instead of taking, it would be all about giving. Instead of expecting, it would be about appreciating. So you may look at all of this and say, yeah, it all sounds good. I don't know if it's really possible. This is what spiritual technology is about. It's the invisible technology that helps you to deal with the mind. The most amazing thing is that the world is moving at 100 miles an hour, but nobody is taking time every day to work on the mind. And so when we work on the mind, we develop beautiful character. And beautiful character means beautiful life. I'll go a little quicker because we're running out of time. Beautiful company. Think about the 5 people who you spend most of your time with in this life. Basically, you are a combination of those 5 people. That's the reality. And you may say, yeah, but there's some people I have to live with. I have a choice. You said you have control over this world, but there's some people I don't have control over. I just got that. The mother-in-law! Yes, there are some people that are definitely in your life, but there are people who you can let into the inner sanctum of your heart, the inner sanctum of your life. And that is your choice. Who you're surrounded by may not always be your choice, but who you allow to enter into the inner sanctum of your life is your choice. And if you choose the right people, if you choose progressive people, if you choose spiritual people, if you choose people who are trying to bring more and more beauty into their lives and the lives of others, you know what? Your life is going to become amazing. And therefore, the ancient teachers tell us, surround yourselves with people who are sajatiya. They know you, they understand you, they kind of get you. But not just that, they should also be snigdha. Snigdha means they love you, they actually want you to be the best you can. And not just that, ashraya. They can actually help you. They can guide you. They can give you wisdom which is beyond what you know. If you have people in your life who know you, love you, and can actually help you, you will achieve incredible things in your life. And this is the possibility that each one of us have. Nobody in this world is self-made. There's this kind of notion in the modern world, I don't need anyone, I'm going to do it myself. We all need help. You know, there's so much potential, there's so much power within each person. But all you need is someone to come up to you and whisper in your ear, you can do it. And when you have one person who comes in your ear and says, you can do it, you can do it. And so, sometimes I tell people, in your life, have a cheerleader, a challenger, and a check-in. These are 3 types of people you should have in your life. A cheerleader means someone who's always encouraging you. A challenger means someone who wants you to do well, but is always challenging you. Are you doing it the right way? Can you do it better? Why are you doing this? We need people like that. How many of us have people in our life who are giving us feedback? Feedback? I don't know if I want feedback. No. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. When you have people in your life who are coming and who care for you and say, you know what, you're amazing, but you could be doing better. That kind of insight is so valuable. And we need spiritual people, people who have vision, people who have a vision for our life which is much greater than what we could have come up with ourselves. These are the people we need. So we need a cheerleader, a challenger, and you need a check-in. Always have someone you're checking in with, accountable to, a coach, therapist. Then, with beautiful company, beautiful life. And you have the power to decide who. Next one, beautiful contribution. I'm going to show you something on the screen, and I want you to tell me what's the first word that you see, okay? First word, don't look for another word because you didn't like the first one. All right. Fire.
Yes.
Your occupation is that you're going to be fire. Clearly, you're meant to set the world on fire. Amazing. Okay. Someone else? Psychologist. Are you meant to be a psychologist?
My mom told me when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. There you go. Mom told you to become a psychologist.
We.
We? W-E-E?
No, W-E.
W-E. Okay.
Doctor.
Doctor. Why? What's your profession?
I'm in marketing.
You're in marketing.
Writer.
Annie.
Annie. Annie.
Really solid. Annie.
You saw A-N-Y? Annie. You can do anything. When I saw this, you know the one that I saw? It's on the bottom line. Zookeeper. And at that time, I was in charge of all the monks in the monastery. I was like, my God, this is like prophetic. I feel like a zookeeper. Anyway, I don't know how true this is. But, According to ancient teachers, each one of us have a dharma. Can you say the word dharma? Dharma. It's a beautiful word. Dharma means that each one of us have a purpose. Dharma means that each one of us are wired in a specific way to have particular strengths, abilities, and character traits which other people may not have. In other words, as Einstein said, everybody is a genius. But if you convince a fish that it has to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's a failure. So in the world today, one of the biggest problems is that people have not found their dharma. They've not found their contribution. They've not found that unique thing that they have, that everyone has, that they're meant to use in a beautiful way to contribute to the world and people's lives around us. And therefore we often use a diagram like this to explain. Think about something that you love doing. Think about something that you're really good at. Think about something that you can get money for and survive. And think about something that you can also use to make a beautiful contribution to the world. And when you find something that is the intersection of all of those circles, that is probably your dharma. But what most people settle for in the world is just a profession. In your life, you know how many hours you're going to spend at work? 80,000 hours. And if you look at someone and say, I hate my job, that means 80,000 hours of your life is gone. It's amazing. Now you may say, oh yeah, it's alright for you to say you're a monk, you don't have bills, you don't have mortgage, you don't have pressures, you don't have kids running an iPhone 16. I got pressures, I need money. Yes, I understand. Theoretically. However, an ancient Sanskrit aphorism tells us, Dharmo rakshita rakshita. If you protect your dharma will protect you. And so, the ancient concept is that if we actually follow our purpose, then there's no way in which that purpose won't maintain you in your life. But it takes bravery, it takes experimentation, and it takes the inner decision to say, I'm not just going to settle for comfort in my life. Most people, the goal of their life is comfort and security. If I'm comfortable and secure, I've achieved the goal of life. No. Comfort and security is just the foundation. And we all need it. But from there, you've got to look for discovery, for some beauty that everyone is meant to unlock. And so, think about, what is your contribution? What is your unique character? These are some things. Okay, I'm going to go a little quick now. Culture. According to ancient teachers, there are different energies in this world. Many of you may have come across this. There are 3 archetype energies in the world: the energy of ignorance, the energy of passion, and the energy of goodness. And this is such a profound kind of existential framework which can help you to engineer your life in the most effective way. And I don't have time to go through it in detail. In the future, maybe that can be done. But the idea is that sattva is the balancing energy. The food that you eat, the people you surround yourself by, the environment around you, the way that you do any activity can be in one of these 3 modes, and usually a combination of them. So this is so versatile, you can apply it to anything. For example, say you're a parent. You can parent your children in the mode of ignorance. That means you're neglectful, you don't talk to them, You're kind of absent from their lives. You can also parent your children in the mode of passion. You know what that means? You try to live your dreams through them. You push them. You sometimes in an unhealthy way to succeed, to be this, to be that. You put pressure on them. But there's also a way to parent your children in the mode of goodness, to be balanced, to let them unlock the potential within themselves. And so like this, when you understand these energies, every single activity, every single habit, every single culture, you can fine-tune it so that it's in the mode of goodness. And when you live in the mode of goodness, pretend you don't see that. When you live in the mode of goodness, then what happens is you will maximize your power in this life. And how do you live in the mode of goodness and create that energy? It's all to do with the food that you eat. It's all to do with the movies that you watch, the music that you listen to, the people around you, the websites that you visit. What does that say? Places you go. In other words, if you surround yourself with the right energy of goodness, then what will happen is that the predominant energy within yourself will be goodness. And when the predominant energy within you is goodness, you'll make better decisions, you'll have more clarity, you'll have more hope, you'll have more vision, everything will expand. It all comes from culture. Okay? And then the final one that makes a beautiful life is to have beautiful connection. The top 4 ways in which people relax in the world. Go on holiday, watch a movie, take intoxication, go to sleep. This was a social survey, the top 4 ways in which people relax. Can you see a connection between all 4 of those? They're all an escape. Isn't it amazing? What people are basically trying to do to relax is that they're trying to escape their life. Because when you go on holiday, you escape your life. But then you have to come back. When you watch a movie, you escape your life. But then you have to come back. When you take intoxication, you escape your life. Then you have to come back. And when you go to sleep, my record is 14 hours as a student. Oh, no. But how long can you sleep for?
60 hours.
Congratulations. C.S. Lewis was a famous Christian writer. He said, if I find in myself desires which no experience of this world can fulfill, I must conclude I was made for another world. What the ancient teachers explain is that each one of us are looking to connect to something beyond this world. Each one of us are actually looking to escape from this world. Each one of us are trying to find a habitat which just feels so much more natural than this unnatural world. And what the ancient teachers explain is it's entirely natural to want to escape the material world because you're a spiritual being. And no matter what you give a spiritual being in the material world, you'll always feel out of place. The only way you can feel completely at ease and happy with life is when you reconnect to your spiritual nature. And so, the whole process of yoga, nowadays people use yoga for different purposes, but the real purpose of yoga is to actually connect. Yoga comes from the Sanskrit yuj, which means union. And it's a process by which we create union between the body, mind and soul, and ultimately between all aspects of our being and divinity. And when we live in that connected way, then with that connection, so there's a connection. When we live with that connection, life becomes beautiful. So, the Bhagavad Gita, which we'll talk about later on, is a book of connection. It's a book of yoga. And it teaches you how to live, how to love, and how to let go. But how to do all of those in a spiritual way. So it's a wonderfully rich spiritual literature. When I was 15, I started reading the Bhagavad Gita and I didn't understand anything. But I thought, this is profound, I have to be patient. And nearly 30 years later, I'm still reading that book practically every single day, because it helps me to find that connection in a world where sometimes we feel so disconnected. So, dear friends, we talked about what it means to have a beautiful life. And today I'll just leave you with these thoughts. If you like, you can take a picture on your phone. And when you get some time at home, just ask yourself, what am I doing to invest in these parts of my life? Because remember, those who invest in the invisible parts of their life find more happiness, more purpose, more impact, and most importantly, more beauty. So, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we will in the afternoon have an opportunity for a more interactive session where we just throw kind of questions and answers, kind of discuss a little bit. But it would be nice to do a little bit of singing. But shall we do a little bit of Q&A now? Just for like 15 minutes maybe? If there's anything anyone immediately wants to ask. Yeah, is that okay? And then, is everyone okay? Do you need to stand up to kind of stretch yourself? Do you want to do that for 1 minute? Just stand up. And
You can do the yoga exercise. You can give everyone a stretch.
We do small yoga, okay. Let's stretch out. On your toes, on your toes. Yeah, and one more. Keep it. Up and one last one. Keep it. And shake a little bit. Little shake. Also your voice, let it out a little bit. Don't be so stiff. And let's go to the one side. And the other. Little bit movement. They say the brain is the organ in the body that needs the most oxygen. So let's give the brain a little massage. Let's awaken it a little bit. Okay, last final deep breath in. Sounds good?
all right, thank you so much. Round of applause for Chitralingam. So let's just have a little bit of maybe have some feedback, some questions, and then we'll do a little bit of singing, and then we have a dance for you. Yes, go for it. Can you, when you ask your question, can you project so everyone can hear you? Yeah. You need to just.
Thank you, Maharaj. So we started from existing and
A little
living.
louder.
Thank you, Maharaj. We started with existing and living.
Yes.
How important passion is in all this?
Passion.
Passion.
Yeah, so passion is a good thing. We want to have hunger, we want to have enthusiasm, we want to have something that we wake up for in the morning. I tell people the best alarm clock in the morning is purpose. However, I would say there's a difference between passion and purpose. Passion is what brings joy to you. But But when you use your passion in contribution to other people, in contribution to the world, in contribution to selflessly giving, then your passion becomes your purpose. Purpose is never selfish. And therefore, to simply be passionate and ambitious is only half the equation. Definitely as a spiritual person you can be passionate, you can be ambitious. But then what spiritual people do is they use their passion and their success and their ambition, they use that in contribution. And so, for example, sometimes one person recently came to me and said, I really want to make a lot of money, is that bad? And I told him it's not bad. But there's two questions. How are you going to earn that money? And how are you going to spend that money? If you earn with integrity, and if you spend it with generosity, by all means. So therefore, I told him, don't earn money, but then lose your health, lose your relationships, lose your peace of mind, lose your time. And I told him, once you get your money, give it to the guy in orange. No. Once you get your money, utilize it for something more than just yourself. Otherwise, all of that money will drown you. It's amazing, the two most miserable people in the world are people who have no money and people who have too much money. Because without money you can't survive. And if you have loads of money but you don't know what to do with it, it actually makes you more miserable. So, by all means follow your passion and then turn your passion into contribution and make your passion your purpose. And then when you wake up in the morning, because you have purpose, you won't need an alarm clock, you'll jump out of bed. Okay? Thank you. Yes? So should we have goals? Go ahead.
So does that mean that we should not aim for perfection? Because otherwise I get satisfied, right? If I don't look for the results, then I will get satisfied with, let's say, student, right? They might get satisfied with the percentage, but they want to aim for perfection.
Yes. So should we have goals or not?
Goals, and how should
have goals, but have goals around the right things. Instead of making goals around results, make goals around your effort. Say for example, I'm a student and I've got my exams coming up and someone tells you, make a goal. Then I make a goal, I want to get an A star. Do you have A stars here? Okay, anyway, you get my point. I want to be the top student. Or say I'm looking for a job, I make a goal, I want to rise to the top of the ladder. Or I'm an entrepreneur, I make a goal, I want to make 1 billion net worth by this. Wrong goal. Make a goal on something that you're in control of. And what are you in control of? Your effort, your attitude, your endeavor, your time. In other words, as a student, instead of creating a goal that I want to get the top mark, I should create a goal that every week I'm going to spend 50 hours studying. Every week I'm going to make sure I check in with my tutor and learn from him. Every week I'm going to make sure I go through these books. In other words, make a goal around that which you're in control of. And if you make a goal on your effort, then you know what? The result will come. Instead of obsessing about success, focus on the process. Too many people in the world obsess about success, but you're not in control. But what you are in control of is your effort. So if you're wise, then what you'll do is you'll make goals, but make goals around your efforts and things that you're actually in control of. Otherwise, When you don't get the result, you'll think yourself to be a failure. But you're not a failure if you've tried your best. Does that make sense?
So there's in Gita, it does not mean that you should get satisfied. You should not get satisfied with your own efforts. Right? So is that a way to summarize it?
No, that we want to be satisfied with our efforts. We want to be satisfied when we go to bed at night, and we want to be satisfied by saying, I did everything I could do. And now whatever happens, so be it.
So basically, make your, like, let's say if I want to become a doctor, so I think that I want to become a doctor, and put all my efforts
Yes.
into becoming it.
The goal is, I don't measure my success by becoming a doctor. I measure my success by everything I can do that will help me to potentially become a doctor. That's the goal. The goal is in the, as they say, don't try to be the best. Just try your best. That's what your mum used to tell you before sports day at school. Just try your best. It's a profound spiritual approach to life. But what happens is we put too much emphasis on results, but you're not in control of the results. Put the effort. That's the most important. Alright? Thank you.
Can I ask any question? Or,
Any questions?
how to tolerate the sufferings of the body?
How to tolerate the sufferings of the body. Have you ever played a computer game and got so absorbed in it that you forgot to eat? Have you ever been so busily doing something that there was a stone in your shoe, but you just kind of kept going because you were so busily engaged in something? In other words, when we are absorbed in something, then to some extent we transcend the physical and the mental pain. Life, spirituality is the culture of absorption. Once there was a lady living in a man. It was a man. There was a person living in a building. And it was an 80-story building. And so he came one day to the owner of the building. He goes, "This lift is too slow. It takes ages to get to the 80th floor. Can you call in the engineer to make this lift faster?" So the landlord said, yeah, don't worry. Just give me a week. I'll call in the engineer. He didn't call in an engineer. He called in a carpenter. And what he did was he put a mirror in the lift. And after 1 week, that person came back to the lab. He goes, "That engineer was good. That lift is going super fast now. Appreciate it." You get the point? Because when you're in the lift and there's a mirror, mirror, in the wall. So when we're absorbed, time flies. When we're absorbed, the pushings of the mind don't affect us in the same way. And when we're absorbed, even physical pain can be transcended. So spirituality is the idea of how do you absorb your consciousness in something that's so amazing, so exciting, so enchanting, that you almost become indifferent to the things of this world. And therefore an English writer says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It's very deep. Everyone will experience pain. What to do? That's the world we're living in. But whether we want to suffer depends on how much we've learned the culture of absorption in the spiritual reality. If I put a palm full of salt in here, it's going to taste bitter. But if I fill up this room with water and I put a palm full of salt, you're not going to taste the difference. the amount of soul is the same. And the bitterness is not determined by the amount of salt. The bitterness is determined by the volume of water. And so, it's not the amount of challenges that there are in our life, because you know what? Everyone has challenges. I'm not saying that some people do have challenges which are more difficult, but on the whole, everyone has challenges. But the real question is, can we get absorbed in something higher? That absorption is going to give us the immunity. Alright everyone, I think we should, I'm sure you have more questions, but I think we should take a break here. We are going to do a little, would you like to do some chanting?
Yes.
Do you want a break, or do you want to eat, or... You can't eat because it's not here. What would you like to do? Shall we do...
Singing.
I think we do some bit of singing, isn't it? A bit of singing. If you want to stretch your feet and dance at some point, then you're welcome. So yes, who is singing? Okay, yes, please. You want to hear this? Anna.